Welcome to another episode of Ever After Experts. Today I'm joined by George McCleod, who's the head of hospitality at Penshurst Place. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today.
No, very welcome. Yeah, happy to be here.
So tell me, George, how did you end up becoming the head of hospitality at Penshurst Place?
So I started at Penshurst Place in 2017. At that time, we had external caterers, and I joined them initially as an events manager and moved up to general manager after a couple of months, I think. And then, so was looking after the catering side of everything at Penshurst Place. And a very long story short, a change came in 2022, and Penshurst Place decided they no longer required external caterers and wanted to bring everything in-house. So I was put as head of hospitality to join up what was two departments initially, banqueting and catering. To merge together to create hospitality.
I expect you love it there, do you?
Yes, I do. Very much so.
So tell us about the charm and the history of Penshurst Place.
The history of Penshurst Place dates back to 1341. Sir John, let me get this right. Sir John de Pulteney was the third mayor of London, very wealthy, and wanted to build a country estate for entertainment. So he did that. Then much later on, it passed through a couple of people. I think in 1519, Henry VIII attended an event at Penshurst Place and got very jealous and threatened by, I think it was Duke of Buckingham, and executed him as a traitor. And because of that, Penshurst Place came under the crown. So Henry VIII acquired it and made it his hunting lodge. That then passed down to his son, Edward VI, and he wanted to thank Sir William Sidney, who was his tutor and house steward. And when he died, Penshurst Place became the property of Sir William Sidney.
Wow.
And it has been in the Sidney family since 1552.
Gosh, that's amazing. And what do you think couples really love most about Penshurst Place?
I think they love the mix of real history, the beautiful gardens, the space. So it's lovely mix of outdoor space, indoor space. You don't have to decorate it too much. Lovely flowers and candles, but I think the sort of natural essence of what it is.
Yeah, it is. It's inside and outside. It's just stunning, isn't it? I mean, the Baron's Hall is magnificent, and the gardens. What I love about it is there's always points of interest throughout the year, isn't there, in the gardens? It's just beautiful.
Yeah, in spring, you've got all the colours and the lovely flowers that come out. Then you sort of move into the more sort of green summer.
Yeah.
If you happen to get the right time in autumn, you're getting the beautiful sort of reds and gold. So there isn't really a bad time, or a bad spot in the gardens, or the inside really for photos and your opportunities there.
Yeah. So tell me about numbers. How many weddings? How many guests can you accommodate both inside and out?
Outside, we can do up to 200 people standing, and that's true of sort of an evening reception inside as well. Mm-hmm. For dining, we're maximum 136. So ceremonies, dining, 136, growing to 200 in the evening. And
then you've got the Sunderland room upstairs,
yes,
haven't you? So you can cater for smaller numbers as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Sunderland room is perfect for 40 to 80 people. But even if you're smaller than that, we have the buttery downstairs. So we can do really intimate dinner in there for up to 30 people, but a long table with 15 if you wanted. So there's no right or wrong in terms of size up to our sort of top limit.
And in terms of where you can legally get married, so you've got obviously the outdoor, the courtyard, the Baron's Hall, the Sunderland room. Is there anywhere else you can get married?
Yes. So we, as a venue, we are registered, and the inside spaces that are registered, you're right, Sunderland room, Baron's Hall, Buttery, the garden room, which is a newer addition on the inside. Outside, in a courtyard, and the nut garden, which is our newest outside space that we've opened up for a ceremony. We've done a few down there, sort of 3 or 4 now. It's a beautiful spot down in the formal gardens. Lovely opportunity to sort of take guests actually through the formal gardens to get there. Trellised, sort of almost courtyard, sort of square space, but really works as a outside ceremony.
It's lovely, isn't it? I haven't filmed a wedding yet there, but I can't wait to, because it's beautiful, really beautiful. Do you do any other events, or is it just weddings at Penshurst Place?
No, we do loads of other events, ranging from private parties, dinners, lunches, that kind of thing. Celebrations of life as well. And then lots of corporate-y sort of away days and activity days, that kind of thing.
So obviously you've got all those grounds, you've got so much parking, haven't you? So
much parking and plenty. I think the estate is something like 2,500 acres.
Wow.
There's a field we call Lake Park, which is about 30 acres. And we use that for clay pigeon shooting, quad biking, geese herding. So there's various activities that sort of companies can do for sort of away days, as well as Christmas parties, murder mystery nights, lots of things we can do.
So hang on, geese herding. What is geese herding?
Geese herding is people trying to, get geese into a pen.
Oh my goodness.
Basically.
I bet that's fun. And what is the average timeline for a wedding day at Penshurst Place? So what times generally do the ceremonies take place?
Generally either sort of 2:30 or 3 o'clock. We work around the fact that Penshurst Place is three things. It is a family home, it is a wedding venue, but it is also a tourist attraction. The main inside space being the Baron's Hall, which is what I want to use for dining and the wedding breakfast, but it is what visitors want to come and see. So there's a balance between when we can go into the hall. So that generally closes at 3:30. So we can start setting up at that point. So for couples sort of planning when their ceremony is, we're looking at how long they want their drinks reception to be, which to me is either an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah.
So if you get married at 3 o'clock, ceremony tends to be finished at 3:30, and there's an hour and a half before we would call you in to dine at 5 o'clock. And then from there, dinner tends to take about 2 hours to 2.5 hours, depending on numbers, followed by speeches, if you do it in that order, or speeches at the beginning and end dinner, into cutting the cake and dancing 8:15, 8:30. And then we run the wedding until midnight.
Right. And do couples get a dedicated coordinator on the day?
Yes, absolutely. So from the minute you book, we have a team in the office who interchangeable in terms of email communications or on the phone, or if you want to come and visit with your parents again or take your photographer to see the venue. We try and get the person who you've talked to the most to be the coordinator on your day. It doesn't always work out, but that's what we try and do. So there's a little bit of continuity there. On the day, you'll have your lead coordinator, tends to be someone with them as well, catering manager, as well as our support staff, our waiters, our waitresses. So they're well looked after. Yeah.
Well, obviously I film at your venue and I know your team, they always work so efficiently.
Thank you.
They're great.
They're very experienced. Have been with us. Some of them have been with us a long time.
Yeah.
So we have a very experienced team.
So how different, has it made it so much easier now the catering's come in-house?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're not waiting for someone else to tell us what the plan is or what the menus are going to be or what the pricing is. And also there's no delay with communication for clients and couples. They email us and that's it. We can respond.
Yeah.
We do have someone sort of dedicated to that element, but the idea is that it's one team, that communication should be much clearer and we can make our own decisions.
Yeah.
Which is really important, and it keeps our pricing down.
Okay.
So there's no external caterers at other venues or wherever they might be. Generally speaking, there's a commission rate that they need to pay to that venue. We don't have that.
So you can pass it on to the customer.
Exactly.
Can you help couples plan their weddings and give them ideas on themes and suppliers?
To a certain extent. I mean, I think we toe the line between event coordinators and wedding planners. We can recommend suppliers, absolutely, and the kind of things they might want to think about. But we ourselves, I'm not a venue stylist, for example. So my theme and my ideas might be completely different to what a couple might look at. So I don't tend to go into sort of that kind of depth, but we'll absolutely give them the right people to do that.
Yeah. And how much can they personalise the venue?
The beauty of Penshurst Place is it doesn't need too much personalisation. I think the idea is that you book it because of the historic nature of it. The main hall, the Baron's Hall, we can't exactly hang things from the walls or stick anything up. So the personalisation really comes from the things you can put on the tables, and the little things that make it sort of your wedding, rather than having to sort of decorate a blank canvas. You can put nothing in there and it's still a stunning hall. And in fact, I often think it looks slightly nicer maybe when there's less on the tables than too much to sort of take away from it. In the winter, if someone books a marquee, however, completely different scenario. There you really do you can make the lining and the carpet look how you want. You can, one of the more memorable ones in a marquee, a couple had, it's a 50-foot marquee, and they had a amazing sort of, almost like a forest set up running down the roof, lots of branches and twigs, and it took a while to set up. But they had that freedom because it was the marquee and it looked amazing. Yeah. The other thing to think about when you're sort of setting up at Penshurst Place is the fact that we can't get into the hall early. No. So there's no pre-setting up. We sort of set up live as we go, as you've seen. And it is all hands on deck, and it all works very, very well, but we have a limited time.
But you can in the winter, though, can't you?
You can in the winter, yeah.
So when does it close to the public?
So we close to the public at the end of October. So our winter weddings really run from mid-October to mid-May. Yes, when we're fully closed to the public, so end of October to the February half term, lots more freedom in terms of we're not now talking about visitors and walking around visitors. The timings can completely change.
And that's fabulous, isn't it? Because they have got this huge, amazing venue all to themselves then, haven't they?
Yes, completely, yeah.
I can recall a couple of winter weddings that we filmed there. And, the market, it just sits beautifully in the courtyard area, doesn't it? And
it perfectly fills it.
It doesn't feel like a marquee, does it?
No, and the way they do it and put sort of a walkway between our two arches. So once you're inside, you don't then walk outside. You can be completely covered, which is lovely. And you still get to use all of Penshurst Place, just in a completely different way. Yeah. So you have your ceremony, for example, in the Baron's Hall, which is more difficult in the summer. And then you can use the Sunderland Room for dining and come down to the marquee for dancing, or dine in the marquee if your numbers are sort of too big. But you just utilise the rooms in a different way. You don't lose out on them.
No, it's fabulous. And there's one wedding in particular, Sarah and Jack, I think they were called.
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous wedding. And we did it was dry day, and actually, I wouldn't say blue sky, but almost a blue sky. And this photo, it was just stunning in the gardens, and we got the most beautiful footage. Yeah,
perfect example of a winter wedding there, where they got married at the church, didn't they?
That's right.
And they had a sort of medium-sized marquee. I don't think they were the biggest wedding. I think sort of 70 people or so. So they dined in the marquee. Yeah. Clear end on it, so you could still see Penshurst Place through that. Yeah, lovely example of that.
Yeah, it was lovely. What's one of the most unusual things you've seen at a wedding?
Unusual things at weddings, animal ring bearers. Yeah, having an owl deliver the ring.
I remember that one.
An owl deliver the rings to the ceremony. That was pretty nice, pretty cool. I mean, every wedding is slightly different. Yeah. No two weddings are the same. You see little personalised touches, or someone has an idea and you haven't seen that before. So that it's nice to see people's different ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the owl was I was filming that, and I have to, because I'm a bit scared of birds. And I was terrified that I was going to just lose my shot, because I was filming it flying towards.
You only get that one chance.
I did. I held my nerve. But it was incredible. I mean, how It just swooped. It was beautiful, wasn't it? And
Yeah,
it just swooped down that aisle with the rings in its little bag.
Yeah, lovely idea.
Yeah.
You know, very, very unique, and we're remembering it now, however
Yeah.
many months or years later.
Years ago that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. So how far in advance should couples book with you for their weddings?
I would say between sort of 18 months and 2 years. And we're seeing people book much closer to that, sort of almost closer to a year out. But to give yourself enough planning time and also time to enjoy the engagement and not fill a year with the stress of sort of planning a wedding. If you give yourself that little bit more time, it just feels a bit more relaxing, and you get to enjoy things like the menu tasting and presumably sort of celebrating with friends and family and not worrying, well, I haven't done this, and this, giving yourself enough time to really enjoy it and get it organised.
And then presumably they can come to the venue a few times, can they, within that time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we even recommend, particularly with people like, photographers, videographers, people who've got to capture the moments. There's so many opportunities at Penshurst Place that if someone hasn't visited us before, trying to find all those spots on the day will just take too long.
Yeah.
So highly recommend that they come. And usually I try and say, come here the day of your wedding, but the year before.
Yes.
To see exactly what's in bloom, what the gardens look like. And they may not look exactly the same, but you'll get a fairly good idea to really plan either a colour theme or where you want to take those photos.
Yeah. So you have a list of recommended suppliers for your couples?
We do, yes. Yeah.
And but you allow other suppliers in as well? You don't just...
Absolutely. Our recommended supplier list are people we have worked with personally for either years or have done X amount of weddings and events with us. And we recommend them based on the quality of their output and their work, how well they work with us and what we see with couples. But yeah, absolutely. Everyone's got different tastes. If someone might not be local and they might know someone close to home, or someone in their family makes cakes, for example. So yeah, absolutely. It's only a recommendation. The only caveat to that is our fireworks supplier, simply for health and safety reasons.
Yes. And it's a strict time, isn't it? It's got to be by a certain time.
Yeah, strict time, a very specific place they can set up and how they do it. We've got tenant farmers on site as well. So we've just got to be really cautious of everything. So yeah, from that point of view, and there are certain people I would highly recommend, in terms of how the flow of the day works, particularly, yes, we mentioned sort of capturing the moments, and I'll mention them again about photographers and videographers. Our recommended suppliers know our ground so well. They will have preferred spots and they can give you that sort of advice. And so I feel that for the flow of the day, I do really recommend that. But absolutely, if someone has a favourite photographer, go with it.
Yeah. What trends are you seeing this season?
Yes. So things that are creeping in, we've had a few sweetheart top tables. So where it's just the couple who sit on top table, which probably negates a lot of family politics and deciding who's sitting where. But I think that's a really nice thing to do. Sweetie tables, lots of people doing that. Couple of things that we've seen not too often, but we feel are growing. Having someone like a content creator at your wedding, who on the one wedding I'm thinking of specifically, were uploading to Instagram for the couple sort of straight away, sort of creating it and going. A really recent wedding, we had an amazing illustrator who was sort of drawing things that were happening. Incredible. So we'll be adding them to our recommended supplier list. But a lovely idea, very unique.
What's the booking process? So if somebody is decided on Penshurst Place, did they pay a deposit? What's the sort of...
Yeah, so initially we hold a date for them for 2 weeks with no obligation. We always say if we don't hear from you again, no hard feelings, but please do tell us, much easier to know. But yeah, so if they do want to book with us, there's a deposit, which depending on the how far away from their event, but generally it's 30% of the venue hire. And then there's sort of a structured payment as you get closer to the wedding day.
And what do you think is the best time of year to get married?
Personally, I would say autumn. I love an autumn wedding. I think you get the best of sort of both worlds. July, the last couple of years, has shown us it is not a reliable month for weather, whereas sort of September, October has been really lovely. You get lovely colours, slightly cooler coming out of summer. Yeah, I think it's a really lovely time of year.
So what's your favourite spot in the gardens at that time of year?
That's a tough question.
That's a really hard question.
That's a really tough question, yeah.
Because the flag garden, that's best is August, isn't it? The flag garden?
Yeah. I don't know.
There's so much to choose from, isn't there?
Yeah. And I don't tend to sort of walk around the gardens. I know it sounds silly, but
we're too busy.
Yeah, we're if couples are off having photos, we're setting something up. Sadly, you don't have too much time to explore the gardens as much as we might like. So
what advice would you give couples who are starting out on their journey to try and find a venue and plan their wedding?
I think my first advice would be don't sweat the small things. I think the more relaxed you can be heading towards your wedding day, the more you'll enjoy it. I think as much as we all plan the wedding to within an inch of its life and talk about timing, so that's true of couples to venues to suppliers, we're all in communication, we all have a timeline, but things happen that's beyond anyone's control, and those times can slip slightly, and it's not necessarily anyone's fault, it just sort of happens. So I think letting that go and just relax and just enjoy the day is really important. Be happy with your wet weather plan.
Yeah.
There is no time of year that's safe. So try not to be, as much as you might want to be outside, try not to be too disappointed when you have to be inside.
Yeah.
We as a venue try really hard to make sure that if it is wet, and we've had to deal with that a lot this July, is to have both areas sort of ready to go. If the rain starts, we can run inside. If it stops, we can go back outside. But yeah, be happy with your sort of wet weather plan. I think the last thing really is for couples to balance the idea of what they want versus what they think their guests need. Yeah. Sometimes we see couples go too far, maybe towards themselves, forgetting that there's 100 guests that have got to wait while they do something, for example. Yeah. And then other couples who only talk about what their guests need and forget that it is their day. So I think balancing the two, I think, is really, really important.
So if the couple wants an outdoor ceremony and you're all set up, how long before the ceremony do you have to make that call that you need to move the chairs? Or it is a fair bit to move, isn't it? It's not.
It is. It's more for us. It's determined when I can put those chairs out, and how you want the wedding to look. So if guests are arriving at that stage, are you happy for us to be potentially setting up chairs, or do you want it set ready to go? Because if you want everyone to walk in and it all looks pristine and done, then realistically it's probably 45 minutes before guests are arriving. Allowing us time to get the ceremony chairs done. If you've booked florists to come and set up arrangements, we need to think about their timing. So it's sort of going backwards from there and figuring out, well, when do we need it ready and how long does it take us? In theory, you can move the ceremony, 5 minutes before. But once it has moved and where it starts, it finishes. Yeah. So if it starts outside and it starts raining, you probably have a little window of you can run undercover and come back out when it is finishing out there. So some people choose to just go inside and not worry about the stress of what's going to happen on the day. But again, you just have to accept that you might not get your outdoor ceremony and trust that we have done everything to try and get it out there.
And what's the closest disaster you've ever had?
Closest disaster? I actually think it was when I was helping in the kitchen, which probably is the disaster itself. But as we were plating the main course ready to go, we had all the meat, and we got down to sort of last couple of tables, and a complete tray of potatoes was missing. Just not anywhere to be found. and we were serving. There was no time, so we were frantically trying to figure out what we were going to do. I think we had some things in microwaves in people's houses trying to get something out, and just at that point we found it.
Where on earth was it?
It was just someone just hadn't looked properly enough as it was being held in a hot cupboard, but it was there, and we knew it was there. We'd counted it 3 times. So yeah, thankfully disaster averted there, but yeah, that was pretty close.
Nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So how do you help couples have the day of their dreams when they're perhaps on a tighter budget?
It's a really good question. I think the first thing we do is, whilst we have packages for catering, we make it really clear to everyone they're not set packages. You build the packages you want, you chop and change things, so you can have a look there to see if you need to save money, that's possibly a place you can start. We're really transparent with our costs. You get a quote before you book, in terms of the inquiry stage. So I think openness is the start, because you go in knowing roughly what it's going to cost before you start that, and just make sure they understand the sort of pricing structure and when payments are due, because that can make a difference as well. Yeah, the first payment's due straight away, but then there's not another payment until 6 months before their wedding.
Right.
So if you book a wedding and it's 3 years away, you've got 2.5 years to save up for that second and then third payment.
Yeah.
So yeah, various things we can do.
And what do you think is a wedding must-have that couples really, really can't afford to miss?
I would say a professional photographer. I think you see some weddings where people are reliant on people with phones and things like that. If that's what you want, absolutely do it. But what you're asking is a lot of people to be on their phones and sort of hoping they're capturing the right moments. And, photographers do that so well. It's such a hard thing to capture that.
Yeah.
And they will capture the moments that the couple won't see, and the guests, and then the guests haven't seen it. And it's and I think there's something quite special about going through your photos after your wedding and sort of reliving it. So yeah, I think that to me would be one of the top things I would suggest. Ample food and drink.
Yeah.
I talked about sort of personalizing your catering packages, but understanding when there's times where your guests need access to something. If you're out having photos and you want those to take a while, for example, and you want to make sure you get the right shot, that's absolutely fine. But then you've got guests sort of in another area, and if they don't have enough, let's say, sort of food and drink, they need to be looked after from that sense. And definitely your wet weather plan, just have that backup, understand it, and be happy with it.
Yeah, that's very good advice. And what do you love most about your job?
For me, it's when I receive the feedback, and not for myself, but to see how much the work we did meant to that couple and that family. The response, thankfully, tends to be hugely positive and thanking us and saying how it was the most perfect day. And you realise that's what you're working for. You're working for that comment, not to say how good you are, but how happy they are. Yeah. There's a lot of trust input in any venue. You get one day to make that as perfect for them as you can possibly do it. So when you do that, that's what we achieve, and that's what feels really good.
For you personally, what do you love most about Penshurst Place?
Penshurst Place ultimately gave me my family. I met my wife because of Penshurst Place. We have 2 lovely children. I live in one of the properties at Penshurst Place. So for the last 10 years, it has been my life. So I have so much to thank for Penshurst Place.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
So if you weren't head of hospitality at Penshurst Place, what would be your ideal job?
In an ideal world, I would have maybe done something in sort of sports science.
Okay.
I don't know what, but I'd have liked to have done that, or be in a band or something like that. Yeah, something completely different.
It's never too late, George.
Never too late. I'm not done just
Side
yet.
hustle. Oh, thank you so much for coming in to talk to me today. It's been a real pleasure.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been really lovely. Yeah, thank you for having me.